Massacre. 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 Don't you love it? Yeah.
Oh yes, you are dialed into Massacre Radio, and it's time to crack this baby open like a skull. I, of course, am your intrepid host, Membersonly Dave, and with Great Gate firmly in the rearview mirror, we look to focus our sights forward on this, the 19th installment. Boy, we are racking up these things pretty fast. But hey, it's like they always say, time flies when you're hosting a #1 radio program. As today, I'll be joined by my guest, the Buttress, joining me to talk about her new album, Endofunctor, and Goon Caves. What are they? Who hangs out in them, and where can they be found on the map? Those answers and more coming up next. Oh yeah, we're back on track and never looking back, getting funky on the 1s, the 2s, and the 3s. Come on!
You're listening to Massacre Radio.
You're listening to the #1 radio station
In the universe.
Massacre Radio on WKMA Cleveland and HD2 station. Turn it up and rip the knob off. We're back here on Massacre Radio. Hey, this is cool. My next guest is actually calling in right now, courtesy of the Massacre Radio hotline, which you too can call at 440-941-8585. She's an artist. She's made a short film on 16mm. Oh, and by the way, she has a new album coming out titled Endofunctor, and here to talk all about it is none other than the Buttress. Buttress, thank you so much for joining us tonight. How are things?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Well, to start, I'd like to ask you about the name Buttress. If you will be so kind, for our listeners who are asleep at the wheel, so to speak, explain the whole Buttress name and moniker.
Well, I regrettably went to art school for college. I had to take a lot of art history classes. And one thing we learned about when we were learning about Gothic architecture was buttresses, which are these structures that exist on the side of buildings to help support them and keep the wall up. Mm-hmm. And there's these thing called flying buttresses, which is when there's like negative space under the, I don't know, look it up, Google it. But I always thought it'd be funny to be a rapper named the Flyest Buttress. So I always had this idea in my head, like, oh, if I ever make rap music, I'm going to be the Flyest Buttress. But I also used that moniker briefly for my noise project. I had a noise project before I started rapping, so it wasn't just my rap moniker, but yeah, that's where it came from.
How did you even get into rap in the first place?
I guess the same way I really got into anything else. Whenever I got into any genre of music, really, I just feel this need historically to try and imitate it. I'm really into trying to imitate aesthetics and do things. So when I was a young kid, I got into rock music, so I took guitar lessons, and then I got into classical music, and I took cello lessons. And with rap, it was really the same thing. I got really into rap music when I was in college, and I decided I wanted to try. So it's really that simple.
Who would you say the rappers were that really got your attention early on that made you want to try it out for yourself?
When I first got into it, the big ones would definitely be Lil Kim. I was obsessed with the Hardcore album. Mm-hmm. And the RZA of Wu-Tang Clan. Those are really my big two.
You know, it's interesting you say RZA because when I was listening to the new album Endofunctor that you sent over, I was definitely picking up on some RZA vibes as well as Esham. Have you ever heard about Esham or listened to him?
Oh, of course. I love Booming Words from Hell. That's one of my favorite albums.
Yeah, just with your whole delivery, it was pretty sick, so yeah.
Oh, thanks. That's awesome. I'm flattered. I love Esham. He's awesome.
Now, looking through your social media, I noticed you are a big believer in the rounded sunglasses. They seem to be a mainstay for you in your wardrobe. It's a classic look, really, but just for a minute here, talk about some of the mystical powers and the overall aura that encompasses the fashioning of such eyewear.
You know, I really don't know because I feel like on a lot of people, it makes them look like a complete fucking douchebag. And maybe it makes me look like a douchebag too, but I always felt like they just made me look a little smarter and also a little bit like, I don't know, like that villain in Indiana Jones' Last Crusade, the guy with the round glasses, if I'm remembering him correctly. For me, I feel like they kind of have an aura of, making me look a little more intellectual, a little more spooky, a little bit like I have an edge. And so, yeah, I just, occasionally don them.
Yeah, a little dangerous even, perhaps.
Yeah. I feel like they work for me, but maybe they don't. Maybe one day I'll totally regret the round glasses because I just totally look like a douchebag.
No, they're a timeless look. I can dig it.
Okay, perfect.
After listening to the new album Endofunctor, I was trying to figure out what genre of rap your new album actually is. You know, I know it's tough to narrow it down to just one thing, but I wanted to ask you which genre you think it falls into.
You know, I really don't know. One of the things I've been telling people about it as I'm trying to promote it before it's out is that each song kind of has like a different stylistic approach. So I'm not really sure it even has one. I feel like between, some of the songs are just completely like different genres. I would say most of them are. I don't think the album really necessarily has one. I don't know.
My guest today is the Buttress. Now, I want to ask you about your song Brutus blowing up on TikTok. How exactly did that come about?
I honestly have zero fucking clue. I don't have a TikTok account. I mean, now I do, but I don't even, it's like on my iPhone, I logged in. I don't even know what my user account name is. I think a few years ago during quarantine, it kind of blew up on there, which I also didn't find out about until way later. One day I was literally just looking up Brutus because I wanted to find a link to it. I don't know if I was going to send it to someone. I don't know. I hadn't looked it up in forever. And I looked it up on YouTube and there was just 100 videos of animations. People made My Little Pony animations and shit to the video. It seems to have become something that people in these communities have an affinity for. They make animated fucking videos. So I don't fucking know. I don't understand any of this shit. So that's when I realized that it had gone viral somewhere, and I'm pretty sure it was TikTok in a small way. But then this year, I don't know, the same thing happened on TikTok. I have no fucking idea how. I can't tell you.
How long was the song out before it went viral? Isn't the track a few years old at this point?
It's been out since 2016, so it's 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Wow.
I don't know. It's kind of funny because people are always trying to game the algorithm. Meanwhile, I don't even have a fucking TikTok account. I barely can work the app. I feel like a boomer whenever I'm on it. And yeah, it just fucking blew up. I don't know. I think it's because people on TikTok are really into cosplay and theatrics, acting things out. So because Brutus is this narrative song with a very clearly defined character and narrative, I guess people on TikTok are drawn to it because they can act it out and dress up, make their little animated videos or whatever. Fucking know.
I guess that kind of leads me into my next question. In what ways did having Brutus go viral end up helping your career? Did you see a boost in attendance at shows or anything like that?
I haven't done a show in years. I haven't done an interview in years. I was pretty much done with music for the most part. But then because Brutus went viral during the pandemic, I was I guess I would be an idiot to not finish some of these music projects that I've had in my pocket for years. I just kind of had resigned to maybe one day I'll put out music again. But with all this shit going on, I'm well, it's probably dumb not to just finish it. And recently I've just felt kind of motivated to do it, and making music has been fun again. So I haven't done shows. I don't know. I'm the worst businesswoman. I have no idea if I scheduled a Buttress show soon, which I am going to do, so I guess I'll find out. I have no idea how many people would come. It could be anywhere between 5 and 500. I have no idea what's going on.
Okay, so it's my understanding that you're also a podcaster and do the Phenomenology Club, it says here. What's that all about? Is that something that you're still doing?
It is something I'm doing. It's actually something I started years ago. I have this, some of your listeners might appreciate this because it's about John Carpenter film, the film Dark Star. One of his early films where he has this part about the bomb and teaching it phenomenology. Mm-hmm. I always thought that scene was so funny. So in a song that I made on my first album, Behind Every Great Man, I have this whole part where I'm screaming, talk to the bomb, teach it phenomenology. And I don't know why, but I was trying to buy a website around then, years ago, and I didn't know what kind of a website. So I was oh, maybe phenomenology.com or something, because I'm always saying this word in my rap. The domain wasn't available, but there was a domain called Phenomenology Club, the domain name. Mm-hmm. So I was oh shit, let me buy this. It was $1. And then I was Phenomenology Club is a fun idea for a project. So I kind of started developing this project. It's a real life club. We have real members, but it's also a narrative video series that's kind of fun, and it's a little bit horror, but it's mostly sci-fi, philosophy, and actually It's a series that I want to finish this year. Well, finish the first installation of it. The past few years, it's just really kind of been a club of actual individuals and a podcast, but it is ultimately a video series, a narrative video series. That's what it is. It's a lot of things.
So you kind of worked backwards on the whole thing then. Like you came up with a name and then you worked it from there. Where can people check it out?
Yeah, kind of. Well, on my Patreon, I believe it's just patreon.com/Phenomenology Club. You can become a member for only $1. Then you get unlimited access to all of our previous and present podcast episodes. We go live every 2 weeks. And it's just kind of, right now, it's just still this kind of live stream podcast thing. But 2024, I really want to dedicate some time, now that I'm getting my old music out, I want to dedicate some time to finishing the narrative series too. So look out for that.
We're going to take a brief time out and come back with more from the Buttress after this.
Inside of you, there are two wolves, and they're both listening to Massacre Radio. Only on WKMA, Cleveland, NHD2 station.
Back here on Massacre Radio, joined today by my guest, the Buttress. The new album is titled Endofunctor. You're not going to want to miss that. Now, I recently started following you on Twitter, and I see you tweeting about something called a goon cave. What exactly is a goon cave? I just wanted to hear it from you, the types of activities that normally go on in a goon cave.
Well, I mean, I found out about goon caves because I used to have a bit of an amphetamine problem. And when I was trying to, stay off of amphetamines, I would visit the Stims board. I don't know if you use Reddit at all. The Stims board on Reddit. It's a depraved place. I don't recommend it. But I would go to the Stims board to read other amphetamine users' posts because it would help keep me on the straight and narrow, because these people are fucking nuts, the kind of shit they do. And one of the things that they do is build goon caves, which are basically these they're not literal caves. It'll be like a room where they'll amass 10 digital screens and also just plaster pornography all over the walls, and they'll just sit in there and masturbate for hours. It's supposed to be this fully immersive pornography experience that usually involves methamphetamine, so guys will stay in there for fucking hours. It's the most degenerate, pathetic shit you've ever seen in your life, especially because now we have VR and stuff, so it's almost like analog VR. You're literally clipping out shit and pasting it to the walls, and some of these goon caves are fucking nuts.
And the whole time I figured you were just in there playing Minecraft.
Well, I thought it was funny because I got into Minecraft over the past few years. I always joke about building my Minecraft goon cave. I just think it's hilarious, the idea of having 10 screens going on and each one just has Minecraft. I just want to be so immersed in Minecraft.
Well, the whole Minecraft thing, I gotta ask, did you ever play any other PC games or video games in general while growing up? I kind of get a Sims vibe from you for some reason.
No, I never have played The Sims. Actually, I grew up in a really Christian household, and I asked for The Sims one year, and my parents gave it to me, and on the back of the box it said that you could be a hacker, and I thought that meant you could chop people up, and I was just overcome with this Christian guilt, and I remember going up to my parents, and I was really sad. I debated about this for a while. I went to my parents, I was like, I don't think this game is righteous. Whatever. I just had this guilt, oh, this game is sinful. I can't play this. You can chop people up. So I gave it back. That was my one chance where I could have played The Sims. I probably would have loved it because I fucking love Minecraft. But honestly, it's probably for the best. I read a book instead or something. We weren't allowed to have video game consoles. We had some PC games, but I did over quarantine try to get into a few games, and I got into Five Nights at Freddy's, which I did some Twitch streaming. Have you played that game?
No, but I have heard of it, and I'm vaguely familiar.
Play it. It's fucking terrifying. It doesn't look scary, but it's fucking terrifying. And the movie just came out, which I enjoyed.
I mean, I guess the real question is, have you ever survived all 5 nights?
No, I had to give up. It was too scary. I couldn't do it. It's jump scares too, and it's just so anxiety inducing. You'll see when you play.
So the new album Endofunctor, I checked it out, I listened to it, and I loved it. But I have to ask, going back to that whole Tik Tok thing, after having Brutus go viral on the platform, what kind of pressure, if any, did you feel when coming up with new material for this release?
Honestly, none, because I think that, a big problem I used to have, and part of why I kind of stopped making music, was I just felt this incredible pressure. Every time anything good happened for my career, I just felt this like immense pressure, like, oh, now anything I put out has more eyes on it, so it has to be like perfect, really good. And that pressure ultimately handicapped me, and I felt totally paralyzed to even put out new music. And it's part of why I kind of gave up the entire project, because I just felt like everything I made wasn't good enough. Now coming into it, I'm like, first of all, I don't even personally think Brutus is a great song or anything. So I'm like, shit, I don't fucking know. I've noticed now, like throughout the years, like people just randomly like stuff I hate, or they hate stuff I like. I feel like at this point, like I can't even think about that kind of shit. Like I just have to put shit out if I'm ever going to again. Because when you get too hung up on like, I should do this and this has to be perfect and this should be better, you just end up becoming totally paralyzed with indecision. I'm just like, fuck it. I think what I've made is pretty good, you know? I think it's stronger than the other album I have out, and people love that. And I'm like, I can't believe people listen to this. So fuck it.
Well, I guess I ask you that because I know these days, now more than ever, artists are making songs in a vacuum, so to speak, you know, to get those plays and to go viral on social media. That's all.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I mean, personally, I think TikTok is kind of nasty. Like, I don't want to make music like that does good on TikTok, but I think it'll naturally kind of happen because, like I said, like, you know, similar to Brutus, I feel like a lot of my music just has this kind of narrative quality. So, I mean, I could definitely see some of the songs on Endo Funter doing okay on TikTok, but I really don't fucking know. I definitely didn't make anything with the purpose of like, oh, this will do good on TikTok. If anything, I'm kind of scared to see what people on TikTok might do with some of it.
Let's shift gears here and talk a little bit about the short film that you made, Visitor 420. Now, you shot this on 16 millimeter, and I know you direct your own music videos. Do you have any plans on any future short films or even any feature films, you think, maybe?
I do plan on it, yeah. I definitely want to. I mean, I like making music, but my real passion is definitely film, and I want to hopefully make a feature film within the next few years. I feel like I just got to take the leap and do it. Yeah. I wanted to make new shorts, but now that I'm like doing all this stuff again, I'm like, I should just go for a feature while I have the motivation.
Oh, yeah? You got some ideas rattling around in the old think tank, do you?
I do. I'm working on them. I don't want to say them yet while they're not fully formed, but yeah, I'm working on it. That's what I've been cooking up in my head.
It's my estimation, you know, you seem like you're a fairly creative person, so do you always have your hand into something creative, even in your, quote, downtime, or, you know, what do you even do to unwind?
Honestly, I mean, I have, like, periods of high productivity, and then they're, like, you know, afterwards, it's, like, periods of just prolonged, like, being totally dormant. And, you know, up until recently, I had been mostly dormant, like, for a while. Like, you know, I always kind of work a little bit here and there on something, but I wasn't really working on shit. I was kind of going through a lot, you know, getting off of amphetamines, and a lot of things changed in my life. But I don't know what happened. Just this past year, I just got, like, this burst of motivation. So I'm just kind of riding this current wave right now. I feel like I'm having a mini renaissance. It'll probably last for a few years, and then I'll probably fall off the face of the fucking earth again for another few years until the cycle repeats itself.
The Buttress has been my guest today. Her new album, which is titled Endofunctor, is either out now or out tomorrow as of this release of this episode. Where can people find it if they want to check it out?
Look it up on Spotify and wherever else music is streamed. Google it.
Now, before we wrap this up, is there anything you'd like to say to your fans out there who might be listening to this very radio program?
No, except thanks for the continued support, especially considering that, you know, I'm always falling off the face of the earth. I really appreciate it, and I won't be disappearing anytime soon again. I'm here for a fucking minute, so let's go. Get ready for new Buttress releases.
And hey, if you end up doing any live shows, for real, seriously, let me know. It would be so awesome to do, like, you know, a Massacre Radio road tripping package to the Buttress show. What do you think?
Hell yeah.
Well, good luck with the new album. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your time today. It was great.
Perfect. Thank you for having me, Dave.
Massacre Radio.
Hey, that about does it for this episode of Massacre Radio. And boy, after all this talk about goon caves, I know what I'm asking Santa for Christmas. Hey, before we get out of here, let's check out a clip from next week's episode. Now, this is interesting. Whistleblower Eric Heckard joins me, and well, he ended up saying some pretty powerful stuff. Let's have a listen.
I'm certainly not happy with my involvement in the program. I was very much used. I was very much lied to. There were certain people that were completely in the know throughout everything in real time. but the vast majority of the people at the facility had no idea what was really going on.
Well, from the sound of things, it's certainly shaping up to be our most explosive episode since Great Gate, so you're not going to want to miss that. As always, I've been your host, Members Only Dave, and I'll talk at you next week.